The sun painted the sky in fading shades of gold and crimson, its final rays stretching over the endless horizon. The waves rolled in, crashing onto the shore and retreating again, an eternal rhythm, as if even the sea had never grown tired of its own repetition. Emma sat on the damp sand, her bare feet buried in the cool grains, eyes fixed on the water's edge. For months now, she had felt like her life was just like those waves, endless, repetitive, without direction. The weight of emptiness followed her like a shadow, clinging to her even in the brightest daylight. Some mornings, she didn't even bother getting out of bed, staring at the ceiling with a single thought in her mind. What's the point? The night before, she had closed a book with tear-streaked eyes, The Myth of Sisyphus. Camus had written about the absurdity of existence, about how maybe life had no meaning at all, yet instead of despairing, we had to accept it. Emma took a deep breath, the salty air filling her lungs. She whispered to herself, I wish I could talk to Camus, just once. Maybe if he explained it to me himself, I could understand how to live with this feeling. The wind grew stronger, playing with her hair. The waves roared a little louder, as if they had overheard her. Just as she was about to stand and head home, a soft voice spoke from behind her. Your wish itself is proof of life. Even in the face of meaninglessness, you still desire something. Emma froze. Her heartbeat quickened. Slowly, she turned around. A man stood by the rocks, a familiar face dressed simply in a suit, a cigarette lazily balanced between his fingers. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Emma said, This isn't possible." The man smiled faintly, nodding toward the rocky ledge beside him. "Perhaps not, and yet, here I am." She hesitated, her breath shallow, before stepping closer and sitting beside him. Emma said, "Are you Albert Camus?" Camus replied, "At the very least, I am an echo of the thoughts that brought you here." Emma lowered her head. The tears she had been holding back for weeks finally slipped down her cheeks. She said, "I'm exhausted. Everything feels meaningless. I wake up, I work, I go to bed, and then it all starts over. Why should I keep going when nothing changes?" Camus took a slow drag from his cigarette, exhaling into the evening air before speaking. Camus said, "Because it is your choice to push forward. Life is like rolling a stone up a hill, knowing it will fall again. But the value is not in reaching the top. It's in the act of pushing itself." Emma swallowed hard, then said, "That sounds hopeless. You're saying life will always be this pointless?" Camus studied her, as if seeing right through her, and said, "Hopelessness only comes when you believe meaning must exist outside of you. But if there is no pre-written meaning, then you are the freest person alive, because you can create your own." Emma said softly, "Okay, Camus. I get it. Life is absurd. But how do I live with that knowledge without feeling crushed by it?" Camus said, "By laughing with it, Emma." Emma asked, "Laugh? You want me to laugh at the fact that nothing has meaning?" Camus replied, "No, I want you to laugh with it." Emma asked Camus, "What's the difference?" Camus turned to her and said, "Laughing at something means rejecting it. Laughing with something means embracing it." Emma said, "But how?" "I don't know where to start." Camus replied, "Start with the small things, with simple moments, like this sunset or the sound of the waves. If life has no built-in meaning, why not fill it with the things you love? Why not turn the weight of the absurd into the lightness of experience?" Emma watched the tide roll in and out. For the first time in months, his words didn't feel like an empty philosophy. They felt real, like a crack of light in a darkened room. Then asked, "So I have to accept that life is meaningless, but instead of drowning in it, I have to live alongside it?" Camus smiled, a knowing gleam in his eyes, and replied, "Exactly. The one who understands the absurd but still chooses to wake up, to love, to laugh, that person is truly free, because they know that none of this really matters, yet they still choose to live." A deep breath filled Emma's chest. Maybe she didn't need to find the ultimate answer. Maybe just being here, just experiencing, was enough. The sun had disappeared beyond the horizon now, leaving only a soft afterglow in the sky. She turned to Camus. But he was gone. All that remained were footprints in the sand, or maybe there weren't any at all. Emma stood up, shaking the sand from her legs. As she walked toward home, a small, almost imperceptible smile formed on her lips. She wasn't trying to defeat the absurd anymore. She was learning to dance with it,